So what if the reason that you're struggling to feel it real is because you're trying to feel something that just seems to be quite far detached from you, seems to be way, way off into the future, right? Whether it's the millions that you want or the loving relationship and family life that you're after. So what if I was to say to you, what if actually the secret to all of this, the secret to success, is to feel something as though it's already happened? Because let me ask you all a question right now. Well, what feels more real to you? Is it going to be the desperate hope for something that you want tomorrow? Or is it going to be that calm certainty for something that you did yesterday? See, I was thinking about this all in the shower, as you do, your mind wanders, right? And so many of you have been struggling, it would seem, to imagine it, to feel it real. I've had clients like that lately. I've got a very actually famous Bollywood actress, client of mine, an actress who is used to embodying different states and personas, but was really struggling to make natural her imaginal acts, her desires, right? And this is what gave me the idea for this video, amongst other things too, because this seems to be a really popular topic, a popular issue that a lot of us have. And I was thinking that maybe, what if the issue isn't about the imaginal act or, the skill of imagining or anything like that? What if the real issue that you guys are having is because you've been using the wrong part of the timeline? So stick with me on this, because as I say, what if the future isn't something that you're looking to create? The wealth, the health, the loving relationship, it's not something that you're looking to create, but instead it's something that you need to remember. Think about that. I know, right? I know, profound stuff. But in this video, I'm going to get you looking at how to embody the state using imagination in a way that is rarely ever taught, because I'm not only going to give you the theory behind it, but as always, I'm going to give you the steps. I'm not paywalling any of this. There is no membership on this channel, because you all deserve to get success. And I truly believe all of you will, and all of you are. Remember, on this channel, my main aim is not to just give you techniques. I don't teach about techniques to get things. That's not what I do here. I teach you protocols to rewrite the person who has them. And that's what gets results. That's what's really different about this space. That's what's so different about all of you. Not everyone is ready to hear that yet. I think we get too caught up in, yes, I am powerful over my 3D, and yes, I can get whatever I want and all the rest of it. And then we get stuck doing techniques all day long, wondering why 3D hasn't conformed in the way that we expected to, or it's happening piecemeal, or we get tired and burnt out. But on this space, none of you are here chasing desires. Instead, what you're all doing is you're reverse engineering the identity for whom those desires basically a natural, inevitable consequence. And that's why you guys get such amazing successes. Thank you so much to all of you who have been emailing me, those of you on the Discord, constantly pumping out success after success. Keep them coming. All of you have a voice. All of you get to share. All of you are heard. I read all of your successes, although I have been a bit behind on my emails. Thank you all for your patience, as I have been recovering from, God knows, it was food poisoning and then it was flu. So it was like this last month of hell. But I can say that my manifestation of my ideal physique that I had been imagining has been achieved. Just not in the way that I wanted. But you guys are amazing. I really appreciate you all sharing your successes. Joseph and I have an incredible hub of success stories, and we are the only creators in this space that are operating with a data set that is based on tens of thousands of documented manifestations. All of you, every single one of you. So you can be sure that everything that we teach you is not based on theory, but it's based on proven statistical outcomes, as well as our own many years of experience. So you're in good hands. Sit back, relax, grab yourself a hot drink, and thank you to all of you as well who liked my post, my little Ozzy Osbourne tribute. That was another amazing manifestation of mine to be so blessed to have worked in the music industry and to be able to rub shoulders with many of my wonderful idols of the time, you know. But I was really touched by all of the outpouring of messages and love. So cheers to all of you, those of you who share the same taste in music with me. Much needed. I wanted to film outside, but you know, we're in England and August apparently is the end of summer. No. We're going to get more summer, I've decided. So anyway, chill with me a while, because I think many of you have been through this, right? You've been told about feeling it real. So what do? We close our eyes and we try to conjure the emotions of having our desire, right? I'm trying to imagine it with loads of realistic detail and vividness so that I can feel the relief and the love. And I might feel that for a fleeting moment. Maybe I get to sense it and touch it. But the problem is that couple of minutes later, after you've opened your eyes, you still get that sort of crushing weight of the absence of your desire that all comes flooding back. And this is what a lot of people get really frustrated with, because they see that as a sign of failure. I mean, fess up. I've seen it in the comments. Some of you have said, you know, what happens if I start to doubt, if I start to have anxiety after I've imagined? You see it as a sign of failure. But listen, guys, it's a sign of your incredible innate intelligence. You just need to understand how human psychology works here, because think about it. Your system is very rightly rejecting something at the moment that just feels foreign to you. It feels inauthentic. I mean, think about it. If you've been wired a certain way to expect that all relationships fail, and I'm suddenly imagining a harmonious relationship where I'm married and everything's worked out, or if I'm just used to the fact that I'm always struggling for money and living in poverty, but suddenly I'm embodying a scene and I'm living out a reality for that moment where it's the complete opposite scenario, well, yes, it's going to feel really, really foreign to me. And that's why it might take a couple of goings over. But the thing is, you have to remember that when you're trying to feel something, I'm going into it trying to make it natural, trying to feel connected to it, trying to feel the love or the abundance. That by its very definition is an admission that you are not it. That's why I say that if you're constantly doing techniques, no matter what your technique is, whether you're affirming it all the time or scripting it all the time or whatever, then you're admitting you're not it. Because the version of you who is it doesn't need to keep writing lines or saying lines over and over. You know it, you are. So today we're going to end the trying and we're going to replace it with a process of remembering. Because there's a really profound difference between the frantic energy, as I say, of someone who's trying to create something, trying to create an event. And then in opposition to that, you've got the quiet acceptance of a memory. Really different feelings. One is going to feel like a struggle and something that you unnaturally force upon yourself. And the other is going to feel just like it's a fact. So the manifestation community seems to be directing us to a place of struggle all the time, introducing new techniques, introducing constant repetition and persistence with techniques rather than persistence in the state. But I'm going to teach you how to remember step by step. And maybe you want to take some notes with this as well. In fact, take some notes, because I think it's really, really important that you understand what I'm saying. I choose my words quite carefully now because I realize how things can be really easily misconstrued. So jot down in the comment section what stands out to you. Because think of this, your subconscious doesn't obey desperate pleas. I think all of you know that. Anytime you've tried to desperately plea in any way, and we did that in my last video, which many of you found an absolute game changer, by the way. Thank you for that. But those desperate pleas do not get heard. Your subconscious actually obeys what it feels is familiar. That's why we're constantly creating patterns over and over again. You date the same person with a different face. You have the same patterns with money. You have the same patterns with your weight, whatever it is, right? It's because it's not choosing what's good for you. It's always about what is familiar, because familiarity to your subconscious is safety. And you've got to think of it this way. The portal to every single version of you that's in existence now It's not through effort, but it's through remembering. That's what it is. It's through remembering. You don't manifest outcomes. None of you are manifesting an outcome. You're not manifesting the car. You're not manifesting the health or the wealth. You think you are, but you're not. What you're manifesting is identity. Your identity is the version of you who has the desire. That's what we mean about that. The outcome is a byproduct and should always be treated that way. That's why I always say manifestation summed up into a sentence. It's the art of embodying the identity of the version of you who has the desire, despite its absence in the 3D. So that's why we say about, do you have the audacity to assume the identity now, even though 3D is telling you no? Because I'll tell you guys something. I will tell you something. With every single person I have worked with, you've all had success, like I say. Every single one of you have been in that situation whereby you had the audacity to just assume the identity of the version of you who got the job, the identity of the version of you who got the car, who got the money, who got the opportunities, even though so many things in your 3D reality were telling you it's not a possibility at that time. All of you have done it. All of you are incredible, amazing manifestors. And if you're struggling, it's not because you can't manifest. It's just because you are really, really good at rehearsing the old identity, the old version of you. That's what it is. You're just really good at rehearsing that identity. And therefore, you also let 3D reality lead you. But, and you've got to keep this in mind, if any of you are waiting for your desire to, I don't know, text you back, for example, then basically you've missed the point. Your identity has already had that conversation. It's already happened. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Pay close attention. This is filled with juicy gems, as is always the case. So let's think about this, because the biggest misunderstanding, I think, is the focus on creating a feeling. How many of you have actually gotten lost in that, trying to create that feeling, right? But the feeling is fragile. The goal is not to create a feeling, but to access it as a memory. How about if we start to look at it that way? Maybe that's going to release some of the pressure. Because like I say, when I was talking to my client, well-renowned, very talented actress, for her to be stuck on trying to create that feeling, when that's kind of what she does for a living, but with relation to her desire, something that means a lot to her. Too much emphasis causing too much resistance. And this is the thing, like, we always allow our old memories to determine who we are. We quite naturally do that, don't we? We're all the time, we're living in our head, memory after memory, that reminds us that we're rejected, that reminds us that we're not good enough. But the most powerful form of manifestation is not asking for a new life. It's refusing to live by the memory of the old one. So think about a cherished memory from your past right now, be it your birthday, be it graduation, moments of love, whatever it was. When you recall it, when you recall that particular memory, you don't feel like you're trying to conjure up any sort of feeling or emotion, do you? That's not where your focus is. The emotions are actually what's embedded in the memory itself, and they just arise automatically. But the feeling is the effect of the memory, not the cause of it. So maybe if you go into it with that mindset, you suddenly melt away that resistance. I'm not going into it trying to make it natural, trying to make it feel real, I'm literally concentrating on accessing this scene as though it's a memory that's already taken place. All of you have heard that famous quote from Carl Jung, which I absolutely love. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Fate. What is fate? It's simply your life running on autopilot of the past memories and their associated feelings. And that's what we do all the time. That's why we're so good at rehearsing an old identity. We don't realize we're doing it because it's running on autopilot subconsciously. And that's why many people get stuck and they end up saying, I don't know if the law is real or if it's even working. No, it's working. We're just not aware of what we're doing the whole time, right? Some of this stuff runs deep. That's why I say some of the surface level techniques are not working for you for that reason. So the act of installing a future memory is how you're going to take back control in this sort of situation. So you see, you've got to treat your imagination not as some sort of fantasy that's happening in your head and some sort of wishful thinking, but I want you to think of it as a rehearsal space for your destiny. Jot that down, right? You're going to think of your imagination is the rehearsal space for your destiny. And you are consciously choosing a new memory for your unconscious to start to treat as a fact. And by mentally rehearsing this future fact, you're going to physically and chemically and hormonally start to strengthen your being, your subconscious, your identity. You're going to get it to connect with this new established outcome as a truth. So this is what the great esoteric teachers truly meant. Like when Neville Goddard had said, you know, the future must become the present in the imagination of the one who would wisely and consciously create circumstances. Now, when he said that, and again, I don't know if that's verbatim, but when he said that, he wasn't speaking about fantasy. What he's describing is a very, very precise psychological operation. You take the event from the future, essentially, and then you experience it in your imagination with such a sensory richness and an acceptance that your brain and body don't know the difference between it and something that happened in the past. Your body is basically the physical expression of your subconscious mind, and it begins to produce, as we know scientifically, which I've talked about in previous videos. When you put yourself through that imaginal act, you are actually causing your body to produce the exact chemicals as if the event has already happened. So the future is not something that you get in that sense. It's something that you wear from the inside out. That's why we say in imagination, you're collapsing space and time. Manifestation is instant. So as soon as I've changed my identity, there it is. I'm looking at the world differently, chemically, hormonally. I have transformed. I have become. That's what it's all about. That's why it's instant. So when an imagined event becomes like your future fact, then you suddenly get this feeling of knowing. This is your living in the end. You know, this is what everyone's striving to, like, living in that end, living in the state of the wish fulfilled. Nothing that I'm consciously doing. It's not about techniques and that. I'm just realizing that this is nothing that I have to force anymore. 3D reality conforms. It's a natural byproduct of this memory that I now hold. It's already happened for me. And I know that this is true, not from textbook, but obviously lived experience. It's the exact process, because I was thinking about this. I was like, what can I use as an example? I'm in a very fortunate situation where I have proven to you, I've obviously said that I've manifested numerous specific people in my life, exes, friends, whatever, different outcomes with different people, not wanting them all back for relationships, but I have proven in real time, for those of you who've watched me for the last couple of years, you've seen me go from single to telling you guys about my intention for a specific person to manifesting Joseph Ally, who lived in a different country to me, was in a relationship. I was in a relationship too. We had a lot of obstacles. He didn't even know that I existed, right? But this is essentially the method that I used to manifest him, because when I saw his video pop up on my screen, and I was just doing the dishes at the time, and I've taught you guys about the passive imagining technique. I'll put it in the link in the description box for those of you who are new. I just passively imagine. That's my way of doing it with the least resistance. Put myself into that autopilot trance-like state, and I immerse myself into my new memory. So when I was in the process, for example, of I looked at him, I thought he's cute, I want to connect with him, I want to give myself that experience. I wasn't doing any meditation, trying to force or create a feeling whereby he loves me and we're together. There was actually no force whatsoever. That's why I literally think I did a scene maybe a couple of times, if that. And then that was it. I mean, I changed my state and that was it. Bridge was in motion. Everything was taken care of, you see. But I didn't force anything so that it didn't feel like a lie. It didn't feel like a performance. You know, I was just abandoning the trying. And I just decided to give myself that experience of what that would be like, and experiencing him being attracted to me and experiencing a moment that we would share together. It just felt very, very natural. In fact, to be honest with you, I don't even think, I think the scene in my head was actually quite fuzzy because my eyes were open. I was just, was just in the depths of my mind. So I didn't have like loads of details to it and everything, where I felt everything and smelt everything, and no, no. But it was the connection that I had with the scene. It did feel like, when I think of it now, it feels like a memory. It feels like something that already happened. It's almost like I have to think to myself, yeah, but it didn't actually happen. But actually, something has manifested quite similar. But yeah, do you see what I mean? See what I mean? So I focused on just gifting myself a very realistic experience in my mind, that I actually felt was real. I don't mean that I saw it all real, like I said. I felt it just like an experience that just happened, just like how you feel when you imagine, when you think about your memories. I didn't treat it as a fantasy. I didn't go into it with any sense of hope. I just treated it as though it was a given. And I just simply remembering this mundane, beautiful reality of the two of us together. And that was it. Mundane reality of how our conversation would flow or how it would feel. And then that's why I was drawn then to take action and to email him. And the rest of you know the story. We've done collaborations about our story and how incredible our bridge was. But in that moment, it was set into motion. So you see, there wasn't a single desperate plea from the universe. There wasn't constant repetition required. It was just going into it from the get-go with the right mindset. You see, if you do this with the right mindset, understand why you're even doing this stuff, understand how the law works, the need for constant techniques and repetitions and saturating your day all day long with methods melts away, because you realize you already are everything. You're just remembering, you're just accessing. And the more effective the technique, the less need for repetition. This is why so many of you get such incredible results. I get you to change state, even if you've been in that state for years and years and all your life. People change state within, a few minutes or 20 minutes of speaking to me, or an hour of speaking to me. It can be that easy. You're not stuck this way. So I want you to start to think of your imaginal acts in this manner, right? And what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to take you through it step by step, of how to install this future fact, essentially, so that you can feel like I did in that scene. I felt chosen, I felt secure, I felt loved, I felt attractive, I felt protected. So I was gifting myself this new memory. And then, of course, Joseph had to conform to that, just like he also conformed to my perfect person list. He was like two manifestations for me in one, right? So you're accepting these memories that you're installing into you as a truth, as you would any of your memory. And then you realize in that moment that reality has no choice but to orchestrate everything to make this a fact. And it does in the most perfect way. And for us, it took about 4 to 5 years, because obviously, like I said, we had a lot of things in the way. Now, what if you could take an event that has not happened in your external reality and install it in your mind with the same emotional and neurological weight as any past memory? What do you think would happen? Now think about it. When your imagined event becomes a future fact, the feeling of knowing that you're going to get from that is no longer something you have to force. Now you understand why it's effortless. Now you understand why you're not having to wait. It just becomes all a very natural byproduct of a memory that you already hold. It's already happened. What am I waiting for? So this is a protocol that I'm going to teach you now, and I'm going to call it the future fact protocol. And it's a very, very simple step-by-step process that's going to bypass the critical mind, and it's going to help you to install any desire that you have right now as an established memory. And it only takes 3 steps to do it. That's it. So get your pens and papers out if you haven't done so already. You should have been taking notes. Have yourself a sip of your hot drink. My throat is getting dry. I'm still recovering from this horrific flu. What the hell it was. What an insane bridge of events. But anyway, step 1 of this protocol, I'm going to keep it very simple for you guys. So this is the anchor scene. I want you to just choose a very short, very simple scene that takes place after your desire has been fulfilled. So don't think about the wedding, for example, but think about you and your partner, say, weeks down the line following that wedding, where you're already established, you've already created a life together, you already have that sense of security. Don't think about winning the lottery, but think about the aftermath of you already have the incredible home, or able to take your friend out for an amazing dinner whereby, you know, you're being congratulated on your winnings, or whatever it might be. Think of a scene that is natural to you, that says to you, this is already a settled fact. This has already occurred. This is after the fact of having achieved my result. I already got the job and promotion. I'm already got my own desk in my office space. It's already happened. I didn't just receive it. I mean, I've already got it, and I've been living it for a little while. It gives you more of a sense of stability and connection with your desire. That's really important. Then there's step 2, and that's going to be what I will call the memory tag. And this is the most crucial step, because before you can visualize the scene, before you even begin to try and visualize it, I want you to mentally tag it in your mind. And you're going to do so by making this very famous statement. You would have heard this from Neville Goddard's teachings, but you're going to say, I remember when. I remember when. You see, already in that moment, I'm creating it as though it's a memory. I remember when this happened. This is already a fact. This is already a past experience that I have already had. I already am that person, and I am just remembering, right? So I remember when. And then you play the scene, play it out, feel it out. This very, very simple phrase is so powerful. It's going to frame everything as though, right, this is something that's already occurred. This is already a fact. I'm not trying to feel it. I'm not trying to get it. I remember when. This is the case. Step number 3 is going to be then the nostalgic replay, which we often do with our memories, right? So you're going to replay that short scene because it feels good. Well, God knows I didn't just play it once when I was washing the dishes. You know, I played it, like I said, I played it a couple of times. I remember doing the dishes, and I remember wiping the surfaces, and then I had another variation of that end scene. But I wasn't doing it with any neediness. You're not doing it with a neediness. I must try and loop it and try and take the force out of it, take the desperate hoping out of it. You're just replaying it with a very calm, warm, slight feeling of nostalgia, maybe like it's a really cherished memory. You know, your feeling is not like, oh my God, this is happening. Oh my God, this is amazing. It is just a very quiet, peaceful internal smile of, I remember that. I remember that. What a great day. What a great day that was. See, it's a bit of a different energy. So when you do this, you'll find that you're not pretending, you're actually building neurological pathways, you're shifting yourself internally, chemically, like I say, hormonally, your physiology, physically, you change. I notice that too when I embody a state, physiology changes as well. You're conditioning your body to that emotional signature of that reality. That's how you get into the frequency of, you know, that's how you step into the state. That's how you embody it. Are you guys getting it now? You're essentially in that moment. Your job is only to give your subconscious mind a blueprint, a memory. And that its only job after that is then to collapse time and space. And eventually the outer world is going to start to mirror this. In fact, it mirrors it straight away, because you do look at life and situations and things very differently. That's what I always find when I change my state. Like I say, in that moment, I had changed state because I had done it so easily, and I was in such a trance state when I did it. I'd impressed immediately. And so even when I saw videos where he alluded to the fact that he had a girlfriend, for example, it didn't really faze me. It was something that I could quite easily dismiss because it wasn't, I don't know, I just didn't consider it as an issue, for example. Like I didn't consider my current living situation as an issue. I just knew that everything was taken care of, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Do you guys get it? Does that help at all? Let me know in the comment section how you get on with this, because we're here to keep seeing you grow and to succeed in everything. And like I say, thank you for sharing your success stories with me. Give me a little time. I'm still catching up with all of my emails. I get hundreds of emails for one-to-one sessions. And I know some of you have been struggling to get on our Discord. There's a bit of a glitch with Patreon at the moment. I don't know what's happening, but if you contact them, they will respond. And if you get really stuck, just email me. They've sent us some instructions as well that might work, so I can send them over to you and you can see, give that a try. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for your support, for your well wishes, for being absolutely awesome, incredible manifestors. You know, cheers to you all. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.